Welcome to this explosive breakdown of one of the most shocking moments in morning television history. Today, we're diving deep into the unbelievable incident that unfolded on the set of Good Morning America, where Hollywood heavyweight Mark Wahlberg absolutely lost his cool in a fiery altercation with beloved host Michael Strahan. Picture this: the bright lights of the ABC studio humming with the usual pre-show energy, the crew bustling about, and the anchors Robin Roberts, George Stephanopoulos, and of course, Michael Strahan preparing to deliver their signature blend of news, weather, and feel-good segments. But on this fateful day, everything spiraled into chaos when Mark Wahlberg, fresh off promoting his latest action-packed blockbuster, stepped into the fray. What started as a routine celebrity interview about his new film, a gritty tale of redemption and high-stakes drama titled Unbreakable Bonds, quickly devolved into a verbal showdown that left jaws on the floor across America. Wahlberg, known for his intense Boston-bred persona and no-nonsense attitude, arrived with his trademark swagger, dressed in a sharp navy suit that hugged his gym-honed physique, his famous blue eyes scanning the set like a predator assessing its territory. Strahan, ever the charismatic former NFL star turned smooth-talking anchor, greeted him with that million-dollar smile, extending a firm handshake that seemed to seal the deal for what should have been a light-hearted chat. Little did they know, beneath the surface of polished pleasantries, a storm was brewing, one fueled by personal histories, professional rivalries, and a single off-the-cuff remark that would ignite the powder keg. As the cameras rolled and the theme music faded, the audience at home tuned in expecting laughs and behind-the-scenes scoops, but instead, they witnessed a raw, unfiltered clash of titans that exposed the fragile line between celebrity camaraderie and outright confrontation. Wahlberg, at 54 years young, has built an empire on his ability to channel raw emotion from his early days as a troubled teen in Dorchester to his Oscar-nominated turn in The Departed. He's always worn his heart on his sleeve, for better or worse. Strahan, 53, with his Super Bowl ring and infectious energy, has mastered the art of disarming even the most guarded guests, turning potential awkwardness into viral gold. Yet, on this crisp autumn morning in late October 2025, those skills failed him spectacularly. The interview kicked off innocently enough, with Wahlberg plugging his film's themes of family loyalty and overcoming adversity, drawing parallels to his own life via his conversion to Catholicism, his sobriety journey, and his unyielding commitment to his 4 children with wife Rhea Durham. Strahan nodded along, his deep voice booming with enthusiasm. "Mark, man, you've come so far from Marky Mark to this powerhouse actor. What's the secret sauce?" Wahlberg chuckled, launching into a passionate monologue about discipline, faith, and the grind of Hollywood's cutthroat world. But then, in a moment that would replay endlessly on social media, Strahan pivoted with a joke that hit too close to home. "You know, Mark, with all that intensity, you remind me of those old rap battles, except now you're battling scripts instead of critics. Remember when you dropped those funky bunch beats? Bet Michael Strahan could school you in a cipher." It was meant as playful banter, a nod to Wahlberg's 90s music days, but to Wahlberg, whose past as a rapper is a chapter he's long buried under layers of redemption, it felt like a dig, a reminder of the reckless youth he'd fought so hard to escape, complete with the assault conviction that still haunts tabloid retrospectives. The studio audience tittered politely, but Wahlberg's face tightened, his jaw clenching like a vice as the laughter echoed. Robin Roberts, sensing the shift, tried to steer back with a quick segue to the weather, but the damage was done. Wahlberg's eyes narrowed, his voice dropping an octave as he fired back. "Michael, you wanna talk schoolin'? I've been in the trenches while you were sacking quarterbacks. Don't play like you know my battles." The air thickened instantly, the crew exchanging wide-eyed glances off-camera, while producers whispered frantically into earpieces, debating whether to cut to commercial. This wasn't just awkward, it was electric, a collision of 2 alpha males whose public personas masked deeper insecurity. So Wahlberg's fear of being typecast as the bad boy, Strahan's pressure to balance his athletic legacy with his media empire. As the seconds ticked by, the nation's morning routine ground to a halt, screens across kitchens and gyms frozen on the unfolding drama. What followed was a torrent of words that stripped away the gloss of live TV, revealing the human frailties behind the fame. Wahlberg leaned forward, his fists subtly balling on the desk, recounting in heated detail how Strahan's quip echoed the very criticisms that nearly derailed his career in the early 2000s, when studios hesitated to cast him beyond comedic relief. Strahan, caught off guard, his smile fading into a defensive grimace, countered with equal fire, "Hey, it was a compliment, brother. Lighten up, we're all just having fun here on GMA." But fun? This was far from it. The altercation escalated as Wahlberg stood abruptly, his chair scraping against the polished floor like nails on a chalkboard, pointing a finger that trembled with restrained fury. "Fun? You think dragging up my past is fun? I've rebuilt my life brick by brick, while you're out here playing host like life's a game." The audience gasped collectively, a wave of murmurs rippling through the studio as security subtly edged closer, hands hovering near radios. George Stephanopoulos, the unflappable political pundit, interjected with a calm, "Gentlemen, let's take a breath." But his words dissolved into the rising crescendo of voices. Strahan rose to match Wahlberg's height, his broad shoulders squared in the tailored suit that strained against his frame, his voice booming back, "I respect your grind, Mark. But don't come at me like I'm the enemy. I've got my own scars from the gridiron to this desk." It was a standoff straight out of one of Wahlberg's movies, the kind where heroes clash before uniting against a greater foe. But here, there was no script, no director yelling cut. The camera operators, trained for poise, zoomed in tighter, capturing every bead of sweat on Strahan's brow, every flicker of regret in Wahlberg's steely gaze. Backstage, the production team scrambled, the phones buzzing with network execs demanding updates, social media feeds already ablaze with #Wahlberg vs. Strahan trending nationwide. This wasn't merely a spat, it was a cultural moment, a reminder that even in the sanitized world of daytime TV, emotions run as hot as the headlines they cover. As the argument peaked, with Wahlberg slamming his palm on the desk, "You wouldn't last a day in my shoes, Mike." And Strahan retorting, "And you couldn't tackle the truth if it hit you head on." The director finally hit the break button, plunging the set into temporary darkness. But the lights may have dimmed, the mix gone hot, yet the echoes lingered, setting the stage for apologies, fallout, and a media frenzy that would dominate the news cycle for weeks. In the annals of talk show mishaps, this ranks among the greats, from Bill O'Reilly's infamous meltdowns to Ellen's awkward turns, but none carried the visceral punch of two icons bearing their souls in prime time. As we unpack this further, remember, behind every polished interview lies a powder keg of untold stories, waiting for the wrong spark to ignite. And boy, did it ignite. Fast forward through the commercial break, and the tension in the Good Morning America studio was thicker than Boston fog on a winter morning. Mark Wahlberg, still pacing like a caged lion near the edge of the set, his breath coming in sharp bursts, refused the makeup artist's attempt to powder down the flush creeping up his neck. Michael Strahan, meanwhile, had retreated to the anchor desk, his massive frame hunched over a water bottle, chugging it down as if it could douse the fire he'd unwittingly stoked. The crew, a well-oiled machine of producers, writers, and techs, moved like ghosts in the shadows, resetting mix and adjusting lights while whispering speculations. Did Strahan really go there with the rap stuff? Wahlberg's always been touchy about that. Remember his memoir? Robin Roberts, the steady hand of the trio, huddled with George Stephanopoulos in a corner, her voice a soothing murmur. "We've got to bring it back, George. Cut to puppies or something." But puppies wouldn't cut it. The genie was out of the bottle, and America was glued, refresh rates spiking on streaming apps as clips leaked via sneaky staffers' phones. When the show resumed, the anchors gamely plowed into a segment on fall fashion trends, Strahan's voice cracking just a hair on the word layers, his eyes darting to Wahlberg, who now sat rigidly, arms crossed, staring daggers at the teleprompter. The guest spot was meant to be a quick 10-minute hit, but with 3 minutes left, Roberts tossed the ball back. "Mark, before we wrap, tell USA what's next for you after this powerhouse role." It was a lifeline, a chance to reset, but Wahlberg seized it like a fumble, launching into a broader rant that peeled back layers of his psyche. "Next, survival. Robin, that's what it's always been, you folks up here in your ivory towers, cracking jokes about my pasta. You don't get it. I was 16 when I did time, fought my way out of the gutter, built a family, a faith that keeps me grounded, and one slip of the tongue from a guy who's never missed a paycheck. Nah, that stings. His words hung heavy, laced with the gravel of Dorchester streets, each syllable a testament to the therapy sessions, the midnight doubts, the relentless drive that turned Marky Mark into a $300 million franchise star. Strahan shifted uncomfortably, his co-host facade cracking as he interjected, "Mark, I hear you, brother. My pops was in the army 23 years. I grew up on bases, dodging the same judgments. I wasn't shading you, it was love, man, but love." In the heat of the moment, it landed like shrapnel. Wahlberg wheeled on him, voice rising like a tidal wave. "Love? Then why'd it feel like a low blow? You think because you're the fun guy on TV, you get a pass to poke at scars?" The studio froze again. This time no commercial buffer. The live feed unflinchingly captured the raw exchange, ratings spiking 40% in those fateful seconds. Off camera, a producer's voice crackled urgently, "We're rolling a keep it together." But cohesion was a lost cause. Stephanopoulos, drawing on his White House crisis chops, leaned in with gravitas. "Let's talk real here, Mark. Michael's right, we all carry baggage. What's the bridge from conflict to collaboration?" It was a noble pivot, but Wahlberg wasn't buying, his finger jabbing the air. "Bridge? Start with respect, George." "Strahan, you wanna collaborate? How about not turning my interview into your comedy hour?" Strahan's face darkened, the athlete in him rising to the challenge. "Respect goes both ways, Mark. I invited you on to celebrate your wins, not audit my jokes. You storm in here, all intensity and no one's the villain in their own story." The back and forth accelerated, a verbal tennis match of accusations and defenses, Wahlberg decrying the casual cruelty of media banter, Strahan defending the light-hearted ribbing that defines GMA's charm. Audience members, a mix of early rising New Yorkers and ticketed fans, shifted uneasily in their seats, some filming discreetly on their laps, fueling the Twitter storm where #MabLowUp amassed 500,000 mentions in under an hour. Behind the scenes, Wahlberg's publicist hovered like a hawk, texting furiously to his team back in LA, while Strahan's daughter Isabella, fresh from her cancer triumph, watched from home, heart-pounding for her dad's sake. This wasn't scripted drama, it was life, messy and magnified, where a misplaced pun could unearth decades of buried pain. As the clock ticked toward the hour mark, Wahlberg grabbed his script notes, crumpling them in his fist. "You know what? Forget the promo, America. Go see the movie if you want real emotion and not this sideshow." He stormed toward the exit, brushing past a stunned intern, leaving Strahan staring at the desk, mouth agape, the weight of unintended offense settling like lead. Roberts filled the void with a hasty weather update, her smile strained. "And now, let's check in with Ginger Zeong at Nor'easter Brewing." But the damage reverberated. In the control room, executives paced, debating spin. Apology segment tomorrow, joint statement, or let it ride as authentic TV gold? Wahlberg's exit wasn't just a walk-off, it was a declaration, echoing his roles in The Fighter or Lone Survivor, where underdogs refused to back down. Strahan, for his part, slumped back, rubbing his temples, the Super Bowl champ unaccustomed to defeat in the court of public opinion. As the credits rolled, the internet erupted memes of Wahlberg's glare photoshopped onto gladiators, Strahan's quip remixed into diss tracks, fans divided between Team Mark, speak your truth, and Team Mike, it was just a joke. Pundits piled on, from TMZ dissecting body language to CNN's media analysts calling it the new age of unfiltered celebrity. Yet amid the noise, a deeper narrative emerged, the loneliness of fame, where every word is weaponized, every laugh a potential landmine. Wahlberg, en route to his waiting SUV, paused for a lone paparazzo, muttering, "It wasn't about the joke here, it was about the reminder. I've moved on, why can't they?" Strahan, debriefing with Roberts post-show, admitted, "I crossed a line, didn't mean to, but intent don't erase impact." Their paths would cross again in boardrooms, perhaps, or redemption arcs of their own, but on this day, GMA became ground zero for a cathartic clash that humanized two giants. And as viewers dissected every frame, one truth shone through: in the arena of morning TV, vulnerability is the ultimate plot twist. The aftermath of Mark Wahlberg's explosive departure from Good Morning America rippled outward like a stone skipped across a still pond, shattering the calm of the broadcast world and sending shockwaves through Hollywood's tightly knit corridors. Within minutes of the segment ending, ABC's switchboard lit up like a Christmas tree, calls flooding in from irate viewers decrying the unprofessionalism to die-hard fans cheering Wahlberg's realness as a breath of fresh air in cookie-cutter interviews. Social media, that relentless beast, feasted on the carcass. TikTok stitches layered Wahlberg's outburst over his dead rants. Instagram Reels synced Strahan's defense to dramatic NFL highlights, and as formerly Twitter became a battlefield of hot takes, with verified accounts from actors like Dwayne Johnson chiming in. Mark's passion is why we love him. Keep it 100, brother. Back at the studio, as the crew wrapped the day's taping, Strahan lingered in the green room, his broad shoulders slumped against the leather couch, scrolling through the deluge with a mix of regret and resolve. His phone buzzed incessantly, texts from co-host George Stephanopoulos offering commiseration. We pivot, Mikey always do, from Robin Roberts urging a walk and talk, clear your head, big guy, and from his agent warning of incoming sponsor queries. Strahan, ever the strategist from his gridiron days, fired off a quick internal memo to the team: own it. Apology on tomorrow's show and no excuses. Meanwhile, Wahlberg, barreling down Manhattan's avenues in his tinted Escalade, blasted Springsteen to steady his nerves, his wife Rhea's voice on speaker providing the anchor he craved. Babe, you stood up for you, it's the man I married. But standing up came at a cost. By noon, his publicist had fielded calls from Unbreakable Bonds distributors, nervously inquiring if the buzz was boom or bust. Box office projections, already solid at $45 million opening weekend, surged 15% in pre-sales as curiosity seekers piled in. Proof that scandal sells, even when it scorches. Across town, at a Midtown cafe, entertainment reporters huddled over lattes, piecing together timelines. Was this rooted in a prior slight, like Strahan's 2023 podcast nod to Wahlberg's Funky Bunch phase during a comedy bit, or deeper, tied to Wahlberg's vocal support for underdog causes versus Strahan's polished, advertiser-friendly vibe? The press release from ABC arrived at 1 p.m. sharp. GMA values open dialogue and regrets any discomfort caused. Michael Strahan extends his sincere apologies to Mr. Wahlberg for any unintended offense. It was corporate bomb, but Wahlberg, holed up in his hotel suite overlooking Central Park, fired back via Instagram story a raw, unfiltered video of him in a towel post-gym, hair tousled, eyes earnest. Appreciate the gesture, Mike. Water under the bridge. Let's grab a beer. A real talk, no cameras. The olive branch went viral, racking up 2 million views in hours, shifting the narrative from feud to forgiveness, with fans dubbing it the détente that healed. Yet forgiveness doesn't erase echoes. Late night hosts pounced at Jimmy Fallon reenacting the slapdown with puppet versions. Stephen Colbert quipping, Mark Wahlberg lost it so hard, even his tattoos looked shocked. Strahan, back home in his Westchester manse that evening, gathered his daughters around the dinner table, using the mishap as a teachable, words are tacklessa aim true, or someone gets hurt. Isabella, his warrior princess post-cancer, hugged him tight. Dad, you're the realest on TV, that's why we watch. For Wahlberg, the night brought reflection over a quiet steak at Smith Wollensky, toasting with his brother Donnie, the new kid on the block himself. Bro, we survived worse in the 80s, so this is just Tuesday. But beneath the bravado, doubts gnawed. Would studios now eye him as difficult, a label that dogged him post-2003's The Italian Job reshoots? Or would it cement his everyman appeal, the guy who calls out BS even on fluffy segments? By dawn, the story had metastasized globally. A BBC clips dubbed in subtitles, TMZ drones hovering outside GMA's glass facade, and even The Guardian op-eding on toxic masculinity in morning media. Strahan arrived pre-dawn for the next show, script in hand, ready to lead with humility. Yesterday, I misspoke, hurt a friend. That's on me. Mark, if you're watching, the beer's on me. The vulnerability landed. Applause thundering from the live audience. Ratings holding steady at 4.2 million despite the drama. Wahlberg, catching it on his jet back to LA, texted a thumbs up emoji, a small gesture. Big thaw. Yet the incident's legacy lingered in subtler ways. GMA's guest book saw a spike in safe picks like cooking demos, while Wahlberg's promoter ramped up personal anecdotes, turning vulnerability into velocity. Producers across networks took note as authenticity sells, but at what price? In Strahan's case, it humanized the Titan, his NFL poise yielding to emotional quarterbacking. For Wahlberg, it was catharsis, a purge of old ghosts that freed him to dive deeper into unbreakable bonds, where his character mirrors the turmoil, a man haunted by yesterdays, forging tomorrows through fire. As the dust settled, one clear winner emerged: the viewers, treated to TV that bled real, reminding us that stars, like us, bruise blue under spotlights. And in that shared fragility, bridges rebuild stronger, one awkward laugh at a time. Delving deeper into the anatomy of this televised tempest, it's impossible to ignore the cultural undercurrents that propelled Mark Wahlberg's eruption from simmer to supernova on Good Morning America's set. At its core, the altercation wasn't merely a celebrity spat but a microcosm of America's ongoing reckoning with public personas. How icons like Wahlberg, forged in the fires of 80s excess and 90s redemption, navigate a media landscape hungry for nostalgia's sharp edges. Strahan's ill-fated quip, innocuous on paper, tapped into a vein of sensitivity around Wahlberg's evolution. From the spiky-haired rapper peddling Calvin Klein ads to the devout family man headlining Transformers sequels, his arc is a masterclass in reinvention, yet one shadowed by skeptics who cling to mugshots over milestones. In the studio's pressurized bubble, where every ad-lib risks trending, Strahan, whose own journey from Giants' defensive end to $20 million a year anchor embodies seamless transition, assumed shared ground, a bro-nod to hip-hop roots. But assumptions fracture under scrutiny, and Wahlberg's response, a guttural "don't go there, Mike," echoed the guardedness of his 2017 book Becoming a Man, where he dissects the stigmatics of his youth. As the exchange intensified, with Wahlberg pacing the platform like a method actor inhabiting rage, the camera's unblinking eye captured nuances lost in later clips, the subtle tremor in his voice betraying not anger alone, but hurt. Strahan's furrowed brow signaling genuine bafflement, his athlete's instinct to de-escalate clashing with host's reflex to quip. Off-mic whispers from crew revealed pre-show jitter, so Wahlberg, notoriously meticulous, had vetoed a Funky Bunch tribute video in rehearsal, citing old news. Strahan, juggling his Fox NFL gig and GMA duties, overlooked the cue, his charisma a double-edged sword that charms 90% but stings the wary 10%. Post-incident, psychologists chimed in on podcasts like The Joe Rogan Experience, framing it as trigger response in high-stakes intimacy, where live TV's faux friendship amplifies personal landmines. Wahlberg, in a follow-up Variety interview days later, unpacked it philosophically: "Mike's a good dude, a misstep, not malice, but in my world, words are weights, they lift or crush." Strahan echoed on his Michael Strahan Show podcast, guesting with Whoopi Goldberg, "Learn humility 101. Banter's my love language, but not everyone's fluent." The ripple extended to industry peers. Denzel Washington, Wahlberg's The Equalizer collaborator, texted support: "You spoke your piece, brother, that's power." Meanwhile, Strahan's NFL alumni rallied, Terry Bradshaw tweeting, "Mike's heart's cold of forgive the fumble." Broader media dissected racial lenses too. A black host tributing a white star's urban pasta. Did it carry unintended weight in 2025's polarized discourse? Outlets like The Root explored, concluding no malice, but a teachable on contextual comedy. Commercially, the boon was undeniable. Unbreakable Bonds trailers, laced with Wahlberg's intensity, garnered 50 million YouTube views, while GMA's Apology Hour drew record ads from sensitivity training apps. Fan art flourished, cartoons of Wahlberg as a Funky Bunch gladiator shielding Strahan from anthem backlash ghosts, nodding to Mike's recent flap. Yet, the human toll surfaced in quieter beats. Wahlberg confiding to pal Mark Ruffalo over golf, hits closing. It feels like I'm 21 again, proving I'm more. Strahan, mentoring young anchors at his production company. Stress read the room, always. This clash, then, transcended tabloid fodder, becoming a case study in empathy's economics, where vulnerability vaults careers, but reckons with real reckonings. As months unfolded, their détente bloomed, a joint charity golf outing for Wahlberg's Mark Wahlberg Youth Foundation and Strahan's veteran causes. Paparazzi snapped laughs sealing the script's happy end. Cameras absent, beers in hand, they bonded over shared fatherhood trials. So Wahlberg's teens navigating fame, Strahan's daughter's dreams, to misfires that make us better. Wahlberg toasted, Strahan clinked, and to brothers who call it out. In the end, the fiery altercation forged not foes, but facets of polished gems in the rough of relentless spotlight. And for viewers, a vicarious voyage into stars' souls, proving even morning shows harbor midnight depths.